So something like 2 years ago, I made a big video on artifact builds. What are the best builds for farming, for PvP, and everything in between. I really wanted to cover every stage of the game, from very cheap and efficient builds for beginners that are not sure what to put in their backpacks, to endgame min-max builds in the best containers that even I couldn't afford. I remember the video took a long time to do, compiling every artifact build people recommended on Reddit or on Discord, checking out what builds people were actually playing in-game every time I got killed. I'm terrible at PvP, so this part wasn't hard. Let's say I got a lot of extra data this way, and spending hours and hours in the artifact build calculator, experimenting with hundreds of builds and building spreadsheets with all the results. The build calculator is an amazing tool, by the way, you can find on the wiki, to try out different builds and see the exact numbers. If you start going down the rabbit hole of artifacts, you will have to use it. Anyways, most of this video is old and outdated now, lots of things changed, new artifacts got added, and I really wasn't looking forward to having to do all this work again. I don't want to do more spreadsheets. And then it got me thinking, it could be amazing to have a tool that does the same thing as the official builder, but instead of having to think very hard and know every single artifact in detail and be, okay, I'm going to use that one, then maybe this one will do the trick, and then this one, no, actually maybe that one. Okay, I have no idea if this build is good or not. Instead of having to do that, you could just tell the tool, I have this backpack, I want move speed, carry weight, and stamina regen. And you know what? A little extra bullet trace on top of it, give me that. And boom, it gives you the builds with exactly what you ask for. So that's what I did. I thought building a tool like this would be less work than painfully updating manually everything from the old video. It turns out it was pretty much the same. Yeah, I've been working on this for more than a month now, but I think it's a really cool tool that will be perfect for beginners to start exploring artifact builds and give you solid suggestions on what to use, get the best stuff you can for the best prices, and for endgame players you will have a ton of features to min-max, compare containers, explore and discover some really good combos that honestly nobody is playing. And every time there's an update or some changes, it doesn't go outdated, I can simply update it. There's a lot to talk about, so let me show you everything. This video is in two parts. First, I'm going to show you the tool and explain how it works in details, and then I will share some advice and tips if you're starting artifact hunting and slowly going down this rabbit hole. But first, if you're getting started in the game and need a little extra boost to make your life easier, here's a welcome bonus promo code to use. It's going to give you some pretty useful gear and bonus items to get started and make the beginning of the game much smoother. Right now, the new season is in full swing with a lot of new events to do, especially to make the experience for new players more fun and rewarding. So if you're thinking about giving the game a chance, it's actually the perfect time to get started. Okay, let's peel every layer of this onion together and do a very basic search to get started. Let's say you're early game and you just bought a 3-zip backpack, which is perfect for carrying a lot of loot with its bonus carry weight, but also has 5 artifact slots. It's still early, you don't have a lot of money and don't want to mess up your matchmaking, so we're looking at base uncommon artifacts. It's a PvE farming build to make your life easier when doing a bit of everything, so let's say you want a bit more carry weight, but not too much because you already have a good backpack with plus 56 carry weight, so let's say low priority for carry weight. You want move speed, that one is important, so let's put it high priority, and stamina regen. Both are equally important, so let's leave them on medium priority. You then hit find best combination and bim, you have the best builds that match exactly the stats you ask for. If you're familiar with artifacts, you can see coil, loop, whirlwind, they're all very expensive artifacts and all these builds are in the expensive category. It's an early game build we're trying to do in a backpack, so let's only look for cheap stuff. We start the search again and boom, only cheap builds with exactly what you ask for. A quick side note on the price feature, the tool will not show you exact prices because price ranges a lot depending on which server you play, and everything is based on an auction house anyways, that goes up and down all the time, which introduces even more variance. So I made broad categories. I'm not going to go too much into details, it's still based on an average of prices, but let's say a rattle, no matter what server you play and the time of day, will always be dirt cheap, and a bubblegum will always be stupid expensive, no matter where you are. So you don't have an exact price, but you have a rough idea in which category each artifact and build will gonna be. You can see the full stats breakdowns and damage thresholds for every build. The tool will obviously only give you builds that are viable, and I added a grid view option so you can really compare side by side the stats you ask for between the different options you have. The top stats are the highest value the tool could find for what you ask. It's good to use it as a reference to see what's possible. For example, here we can see that the max carry weight we can get is 11. That's not including what your backpack gives you, by the way. We are only looking at artifacts right now. So let's say you kind of want builds that have at least 10 carry weight, because you find anything under that a bit too low. You can ask for a minimum and then redo the search, and now the tool will give you new options with at least 10 carry weight and higher. And you can do that with as many stats as you want, which will really let you get exactly what you're looking for. Now, let's say you want a polyhedron in your build. Quick reminder, the poly is an amazing artifact that will absorb huge damage spikes, like a heavy sniper shot, and prevent you from getting one-shotted. It also makes the final boss fight much easier. You can go to the available artifacts panel. By the way, that's here that you can tell the tool which artifacts to use in the searches. By default, everything is turned on. You look for the polyhedron, you pin it, and you redo the search. And now all the results will have a poly in them, while still giving you the best possible stats you ask for. And you can pin as many artifacts as you want. The last big feature in basic mode, because yes, we still haven't touched the advanced mode, is the My Loadout panel. Technically, this feature is the whole reason I built the tool at the beginning, because I decided that on my new character, I will only use artifacts I found by myself. I'm not buying or trading anything, and I wanted to see the best builds I could do only with what I have already. So here you can enter every artifact you already have in game. It's a bit of a pain, but you only have to do it once, and you can import a save of your loadout to make sure you never lose it. And when you added everything you own, first the results will now show you what you own already, so you can see which builds you can do easily without having to buy too many new artifacts. But more importantly, you can force the tool to give you only results with what you own already, so you don't have to spend anything and have the best builds possible with only the artifacts you already have. And that's it for the basic features. I think it already covers most of the use cases if you're getting started and just want some ideas of good builds you could do. But let's go to the next level and really start going down the rabbit hole with the advanced mode. The advanced mode lets you do two things. First, much more customization on how to control and display the results you want. And second, more comparison features to really min-max the exact stats that you want. The main feature of the advanced mode is the compare containers option. Let's say you are getting veteran gear and you want to compare the KZS MU, which has only 3 artifact slots but very high protection and effectiveness, the Forager, which is a pretty average 4 slot but with a bonus minus radiation, and the Kiga that has low protection and effectiveness but 6 artifact slots. Because yeah, if you're playing the game right now, how do you tell exactly the difference between these containers and what to choose? So we add all of them to be compared. Let's do level 15 special artifacts to up things a little bit. If you wonder why the tool only has level 0 and 15 and nothing in between, it's because most artifacts have hidden properties that will unlock when you upgrade them to +5, +10 and +15. But the order you unlock them is random. So at 0 you have nothing, at +15 you have all 3 properties, but at +5 you might get this one or this one, same for +10. You never really know. So to keep things easier in the tool, it's all or nothing. Advanced mode lets you add an armor. So let's pick the Brigand you get from the battle pass. Everybody is using it these days. And let's do a PvP build this time. So we want bullet res, vitality and healing effectiveness. It's just an example, you put whatever you want in your PvP build. Bullet res and vita at medium and healing the lowest, but I want at least 25% because under that I feel it's kinda useless. And let's do average prices because we don't want to go too crazy. Advanced mode lets you decide if you want to add the bonus of your armor and container in the final result, so let's leave them on. Here it doesn't really matter, but for example if we were comparing a container like the Crow 6 that has built-in bullet res, you kinda want the stats of the container to be included in the results, to not compare apples to oranges. And then we start the search. By the way, the tool brute forces every single combination, so you can see containers with little slots are pretty much instant, but 6 and 7 slots container will take a while, especially if you have a slow computer. Okay, so what are the results telling us? Let me go on my last tangent, I swear, but if you're still somewhat new to the game, it's very important. Your bullet resistance, vitality, and the bonus the armor you're using all get kind of bundled together into your effective health pool. Generally, in the endgame, you want to be around 500, so you're pretty tanky and nothing can one-shot you, but more than that, you really start getting diminishing returns. And that's why you start getting healing effectiveness right after that. So before you engage someone, or you see you're going to get shot at, you pop a medkit. And for the duration of the medkit, your healing is going to be crazy. Sometimes you shoot someone and they're healing faster than the damage you're doing to them. That's why you get healing effectiveness. In veteran gear, like we are looking at right now, it's less important and the global EHP you have is still king, but having some healing effectiveness is always very useful. With all that being said, the way we can read these results is simply to look at the effective HP and the healing effectiveness. And immediately you can see the Forager is the worst. It's not a giant difference, but it's pretty clear. The Kiga is the best, and the KZS with half the artifacts is really close actually, which is impressive. Don't forget, this is only looking at the stats we ask for. The full build might tell a slightly different story, but let's not get lost into the weeds too much. That's how you use the compare feature. I added the option to require a minimum EHP for your build. I figured people trying to min-max their endgame PvP builds might want it. Oh, and one more tangent. I'm sorry, but it's super important. Do not go crazy with how much EHP you get in your artifact build at lower levels. Let's say you have the Brigand, again, that you got very easily from the Battle Pass. This is the perfect early level veteran armor. If you start playing a ridiculous build with it that gives you as much or more bullet resistance than the Legionnaire, for example, which is a higher level pre-master armor, you will start getting matched with players that have this level of gear. Do not go crazy with your artifact build thinking you're gaming the system, especially because the tool will give you crazy combos if you ask for them. It doesn't mean you should use them. Okay, we need to talk about 2 more things and we're done. Recently, the devs did a showcase of some of the crazy, ridiculously expensive builds that are played by some of the top players. By default, the tool will not show you builds like that, because you can see this one has a vitality debuff, for example, this one a move speed debuff, and the tool has protections against this. To unlock this type of builds and let the tool really go crazy, you need to turn off these protections. Let's do a similar build. Berloga 6 container, level 15 exclusive artifacts. The tool does not support different qualities at the same time for now. I might add it in the future, we'll see. Move speed and running speed are definitely the highest priorities, stamina and stamina regen medium, and a little bit of carry weight. I don't think healing effectiveness here is a target stat, I just think it's here because of whatever art in there gives it. Anyways, and let's turn off all the protections. Let's go. Move speed 22, carry weight 40, stamina 240, regen 40. Okay, the first build the tool found is technically better for every stat we're looking for, but there's 2 big caveats. First, we're minus 40 vitality, which is kind of an issue, potentially, and raisins are so rare and expensive. 4 exclusive ones is just plain ridiculous, even for the top players. So what we can do is redo the search, but limit the amount of raisins to only 1 copy per build. We are going to keep an eye on the effective health so we don't have to look at builds that still have too much vitality debuff, and this one looks good actually. Looking at the stats, it's kinda better actually, no? And it's with no legendary artifacts and it's much cheaper. So here you can do 2 things. You can copy the build and share it if you want. I figure this could be useful, but more importantly you can save the build. You give it a name and it will appear in the My Build section. And here, what we can do is recreate this build, this super high-end build we've been using as an example, this time with the correct quality for every artifact, save it, and now we can compare both in detail. This feature here is still a bit wonky and I'm still working on it. I want to make it better with a cleaner way to compare the builds, so it might look slightly different when you use the tool, but as you can see, it will be a great way to save interesting builds you find and builds you found online or that someone recommended to you, and you can compare them in details to see which one is the best. And we're done. I think we covered everything. That was a very, very nerdy video. I tried to make everything as intuitive as possible, but you can do a lot with the tool. So I wanted to make this video to at least cover every main feature so people are not too confused. And I really hope it will help beginners find cheap, good builds to do when they're not sure what to get and just starting the game, and let endgame players really experiment with new things and combos that are sometimes overlooked. Don't forget to use the build calculator on the wiki if you want to go even deeper into all the builds breakdowns and stats, and the database to check history of prices, availability of artifacts if you need to. My tool wouldn't exist without them, and they all work very well together. I'm always open to suggestions, improvements, new features to add, or simply if you find bugs or issues, let me know in the comments and I will do my best to fix them. Okay, now a couple tips and tricks related to artifacts. As soon as you get north, you need to start artifact hunting. It's easy, it can be really safe if you stay around your faction base at the beginning, and it's one of the best ways to get money. Yes, even by staying safely around your faction base when you get started. It is extremely rare that I make less than $500,000 just by doing the spots around the base, and when you start getting into the better areas, this number can grow very, very fast. If you're really into artifact hunting, technically you can get a detector as soon as you reach the bar, which is fine, but it will only get really profitable when you get north. Do whatever couple signals you need to do to get the beluga and buy it as soon as possible. It's all you will need for a very long time. I read a lot of nonsense like, but you need the best detectors, like shut up. I started playing with this character not even 2 months ago. I'm already at more than 4,000 artifact funds, and it's all with the beluga. I don't think the Buriat is worth it, and I'm telling you this from experience because I grinded 3 of them on my Europe characters. It's literally faster to grind the money to straight up buy the Elbrus, the best detector in the game, than doing these insane signal grinds for the Buriat. And another hot tech, but the Elbrus only really gives you an edge in the big open locations of the Wild North, for example. For the beginning, artifact hunting around your base, in mines, Black Detour, labyrinths, honestly, it's completely overkill. I have one sitting in my stash collecting dust right now because my little beluga is far enough for now. And the key to artifact hunting is more about knowing the good spots and being efficient, and this will come from experience, not your detector. You're obviously not going to be able to do this at the beginning, but as soon as you get familiar with all the anomalous areas where artifacts spawns, you scan the spot and you put your detector back into your belt immediately to save batteries. You press X by default to take it out and back easily. Get into the habit of looking around quickly just before you're done scanning an area. At like 60-70% of the scan, you swipe around quickly to see if you can catch some stragglers with the same scan. Some areas, like in the water, artifacts can be really hard to see. You have the red spot on your screen, but it's almost impossible to see where it is exactly. When this happens, you can spam some markers, it's with the tab key by default, and you can spot artifacts that are really hard to see this way. In terms of upgrades, my advice is to not upgrade or spend any consumables until you have a pretty strong build. Generally, you will be in master gear and it will be at least special and more often rare artifacts. Below that, do not bother upgrading anything. The catalysts increase your chances of getting an upgrade. The changing serum lets you reroll the stats of an artifact. They're really worth using on really good artifacts you know you're gonna use and you got a bad roll. So you use these serums to try to get not necessarily a perfect roll, but something better. They're expensive, so when you get a good roll, do not waste more trying to get a perfect one. And the reset essence lets you make an artifact tradable again, if you equipped and used one for a while and now you want to sell it, for example. And honestly, that's it. Artifacts are one of my favorite parts of the game. Do some artifact hunting, try out different builds, test out different containers, different backpacks, and see what works for you. I literally made this tool for people to experiment experiment for themselves. So I'm not going to tell you do exactly this build or go copy this meta build. It's not making any sense and there's no fun in that. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. And if you're getting started with the game and need a promo code, don't forget to use mine. It will give you some extra goodies to start exploring the zone.